Well, good morning. Welcome to very chilly Oaks Lakes. I thought I'm coming out for a midweek open, bit of practice for the Winter League. We've got a Silverfish League that runs on here every other Saturday. Absolutely love this league. So, a bit of cat eyes on the water, freezing cold, but I thought I'd do a little match vlog, if you like. I'm not going to film the whole day, but I'll do a few updates maybe. Hopefully we'll draw a fly and catch a few, talk you through what I'm thinking about the peg and stuff like that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Sorry for not a lot of content recently, but I've just been busy doing fishing, and yeah, I'm going to try and do a few more videos like this. Hopefully you enjoy it, and I'll see you after the draw. Well, we've done the draw, and unbelievably, my legs are absolutely killing me. Went to the gym for the first time ever doing leg day the other week, and I can barely walk. But we've drawn oldest peg 12, absolutely unbelievable draw on paper. It can be an iffy one, depending on where the fish want to be. If they want to be against the island, it can be a bit of a tougher draw. But, you know, I can't moan about this peg, because that's just criminal. You're in, like, the widest bit of the lake here. Loads of room today, because there's only, I think there's 20 on the open, which is a fantastic turnout for Wednesday. One section on here, and then paying top 2 in the match, I think. So, but, yeah, oldest 12. If you've never been in the Oaks before, you probably still know about this peg. Middle of the straight, widest bit. Plan is probably just loose feed maggots, like 14 metres, try and catch hide on the bottom to start with, and then try and catch a few shallow. It could be £20, it could be £50 today, you just don't know till you get going, really. I'll get some gear out, and then once we're set up, we'll do a little bit of a rig chat and stuff, but yeah, no complaints about the draw at all. Well, we're all set up, just need to get the rigs out the bag, but pretty simple on this peg. I'm just going to need a few rigs for fishing long pole. I've drew this peg earlier in the year, and I fished down the edge, but it's totally pointless. Didn't get a bite down there. I think the end peg seemed best for edge fishing on this lake, so it's going to be a simple attack, really. So I'm going to fish short with ground bait. I'm not going to loose feed any bait over it. Just going to pot some loose in to start with. Not sure how much yet, but probably a decent amount of bait, and just leave it alone for the last couple hours. And somewhere out the way to my left, probably to my right, because there'll be a bit more space that way. A couple of pots of loose in that way, and then have one mainland in front of me, potting maggots to start probably, and then probably loose feed with a catty later on. And that's going to be it, dead simple. Side tray, got my trusty heater, used that last week, and it made a massive difference. Once I was freezing cold, that warmed me right up. And I've got some maggots here from the tackle shop. Lovely, mainly reds with a few whites in, and some pinkies for the hook. So maggot and a pinky is a great bait when it's a bit more tricky, when 2 maggots isn't the right, it's too big. So yeah, I'm just gonna get set up, and hopefully we'll have a great day. Done my ground bit at home, got it really nice and wet, like that's taken on as much water as it could. Any more water would ruin that. So that's literally just black swim stim with a bit of milled expander in, not too heavy in fish meal, nice and fluffy. That'll just sink to the bottom and just sit there nice and dormant for them skimmers to feed over. I'm not going to put much loose feed in, maybe an odd pinky or an odd maggot or something, but yes. So yeah, we'll just get set up, and I'll catch up with you in a moment. The rigs are out the bag, and I thought I'd just do a little quick talk about my rollers. So I've got these Matrix ones, fantastic rollers. I've had them for probably 18 months now, 2 years, probably 2 years actually. And they've stood the test of time, to be honest with you. These brackets do start going a little bit, but it's still going strong, to be honest, so I can't knock them. When you set them up, you sort of make sure that you set your rollers up at the full length of your pole. So I think today I could be fishing 16 metres quite possibly. So for that reason, I've got my full 16 metres out, and I've set it out so when I'm up to my maximum length, I'm fully balanced, and it's not going to be tipping off the bot like to go every time. But you can see I've got my pole sort of angling down slightly, so when I'm shipping out, my pole's going to just slide nicely, keep my rig in the water so I get less tangles, and it won't bounce when it comes off the back roller. It's just important to, obviously it is now because I'm trying to do this one-handed, but you want it so you can just nip it in your pole sock, just like that, and you've got a nice balance. Have a test of it, sit on your box, make sure that when your pole comes off the rollers, it's not bouncing. If it is, you just need to move that back roller forward or back a little bit, just to make sure when it comes off, the weight's moving forward as you're shipping out. It's hard to explain, but you just want to spend a bit of time when you're getting ready. Make sure your pole rollers are correctly positioned. Make sure they're straight on. So when your poles come down, you're off your rollers coming straight. If your rollers when you're shipping out, if your pole's sort of spinning to the side, it means your pole's not at 90 degrees with your roller, so just move it around slightly, make sure that you got it in correctly. Right, just about ready to start the match. Got my bait here, maggots, nice damp ground bait, really heavy, and feed a bit of that short start. I think I'm going to put about two pots of loose air, about 200 ml of ground bait, maybe 300, and just leave that alone throughout the day. I'm not going to throw any loose bait there. I've got another short line that way, about 7 metres. I'm going to loose feed some maggots there, because I know you can catch some better sort of chunky roach and stuff on that short line on here. I had that last time. And on main line, I'm hopefully the first couple hours long on the pole, about 30.5 metres, work my way out, and a cheeky skimmer line long. All my wigs here, dead simple. I'm going to start on this one, that's the all in. Little kinder pot, I'm going to put some maggots in that. Little 4x10 RW maggie, and just string out shots, and then I've got an 18's F1 maggot on the hook. And 08 that is, so I'm going to try a bit lighter today. Single 4s and a short kit, lovely job. Let's hope for a good day. Little tip for feeding on this short line. I've got a bit of pole tip marked on my pole, just in front of the end of the section, so I'm going to feed all my bait on this pole tape here, and then I can fish past my bait if I want to. Them skimmers often fish just past, so I'm just going to drop this in here, get some bait fed, and hopefully empty it. Well, welcome back. We are about an hour and 45 into the match now, and it was a much slower start than I expected. I ended up catching my first fish after 15 minutes. I started kinder potting, just tapping like 6 or 7 maggots in quite regular, and just kept flicking my rig in. And there was no signs at all to begin with. So I ended up picking the catapult in and just firing sort of 6 to 10 maggots in, nice and regular, constantly flicking my rig in. As soon as it hit the bottom, give it 10 seconds and I was just flicking it back in. And after about 45 minutes, I started catching a couple eyed, and I think I've had 5 eyed now, and about 15 roach, and some little tiny eyed that big. I'm not surprised it's hard because it's freezing cold. The sun's come out now, so it looks nice, but it's only just about warm to take my gloves off, I think. I've also pushed an extra section out, so there we go. Oh yes. Eyed. Hopefully I'm going to get one of these eyed now, because once they go, they don't tend to come back, so it's a bit worrying that I've not really had many yet. I'm hoping to just get an hour on them, and that might be enough today. And obviously try and catch some skimmers or some roach to fill the gaps in later. Feels like a little chunky one, not a massive one, but not bad by all accounts. 6 ounce or something. And a little chunky one, about 6 ounces. Not a bad one. Hook just came out in the net. And I started off on the bottom, and I was just hooking a leaf every single chuck. Just doing my head and take that silly thing off now. Hooking a leaf every single chuck. I think because they had the aerators on at the start, they didn't help at all, dragging all the leaves through the bag. So come off the bottom by about 2 inches and basically just worked my way up. And I'm fishing about 2 foot now, which is about half depth here. I'm tempted to shallow up a little bit more. Because them eyed can be crazily shallow sometimes, you don't even know it, but when it's freezing cold, they'll still come right up in the water and compete. So it's important to just, as long as you're getting bites off them roach, just keep coming up shallower. I'm just fishing a tiny 4B8 winter maggie, nicely dotted down, just strung out number 11s. I'm getting a bite mode put in now, which is really nice. I love coming to the Oaks in winter. You get bites all day long, most of the time anyways. There's a little chunky roach. Not a bad one. Just fishing an 18's F1 maggot. I like using quite a big hook. I like fishing a nice big hook when catching them eye. I think you can miss bites on small hooks. Even though you might think winter small hooks, I think with Ide you can even get away fishing a 16 sometimes, but with it being cold, I'm only fishing a single maggot. I do think an 18 is about right. Although, late on, if I stop catching the Ide altogether, I won't be scared of dropping down to 20s if I'm just catching a roach. Might get me a few more bites. It might look like I'm constantly missing bites, but I'm just constantly laying my rig in. Once that rig stops falling, don't think you're really going to catch one. Most of them come just as it sort of settles at the depth that you're fishing at. Constantly loose feeding, that's the key really. If you've seen any videos I've done on here in the past, it's just a case of, they're the tiny blips that you do catch on here, tiny little things. Not ideal, but you gotta just put them in the net between the Ide and they do add up. So I'm just fishing 2 white sections of my pole and the dolly butt on the end. So I'm probably fishing a true 14 with a long, I've got a long 4 in as well. I'm firing loose feeding maggot just behind my float. I don't want to be firing them past. If I do that too often, I'll have to pick another section up because they will just sit in that bait at the back. You want to be firing everything just about, you know, between a metre and on your float really. But what I'll do is, I'll keep fishing. Looks like it could be. Are you there? Oh, nearly had me. Little tiny Ide, that one, about 3 ounces. I seem to be catching more than tiny Ide today, which is quite unusual for this lake. But if there's enough of them big ones in between, I'll take it. And them little small Ide are actually bigger than the roach, so I have to just keep putting them in the net. I'm just hoping for, at some stage, I'll get a run of them bigger Ide. If I can get to sort of 20 of them chunky Ide, and I'll be happy today. I feel like £30 probably a realistic target, so if I can catch, maybe need a bit more, 25 of them, hopefully a couple of skimmers and plenty small roach in between. Welcome back. So it's about 1 o'clock now, so I think I've got about 2 and a bit hours left, and it's a lot better than it was when you last joined me. I've got 25 Ide now, which is fantastic. This is what I was aiming for, so hopefully we'll catch a bit more than what we were expecting. Still getting roach in between, but catching a lot more Ide now. Just had a good spell the last sort of hour and a half where I've caught an odd one steady away really. Not one a bung, but getting an Ide every now and again, so they're a bit smaller than I'd like, but I can't complain, I'm getting bites. Still fishing long, catching shallow now, and I'm fishing about 2 foot deep still. Just gone a slightly bit deeper, maybe 2'4". Loose feeding, plenty of maggots, being quite aggressive, and just constantly flicking that rig in again. Alternating the hook baits, 2 maggots is probably the best hook bait now, or a maggot and a pinky. I think that just bigger standout bait just helps. I'm just hoping that I'll keep catching them for a little bit longer before they sort of disappear. They usually do a disappearing act pretty soon. Started loose feeding so short, I've actually got floats wrapped around the line. Short, I've actually got 2 lines. I've got one where I've potted 300mm ground bait at the start with a few dead pinkies in. And I've got one to my right, both at about 7 metres, where I'm just loose feeding. Because sometimes you can catch them roach short and they're a bit bigger stamp. Once the Ide disappear long, you don't tend to catch many Ide short. You sometimes get an odd one, but you never catch that many, to be honest. And I've also fed my long ground bait line at 13 metres to my right out my peg, literally just put about 50 ml of loose ground bait and a few dead pinkies. Tiny amount of bait, but you don't need to feed much when it's only 3.5, 4 foot deep really. I just put a bit more bait short because I just wanted to see what it would be like if I put a bit more bait in, just out of interest, because we're only here for a practice. It's a practice for the Winter League really. They're the matches that really matter, so I don't really want to do something proper random. Like, I've probably like, that's quite aggressive, I'd say, for only a shallow lake, but I just want to see if that volume of ground bait does work. You know, it's probably one of the smaller eyes, but it's still 5 ounce. Chunky little fish. Just hooking 2 maggots right in the tail. So I've got as much hook point shown as possible. Ding, 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 ding. And you see I've got like a sort of 2.5 foot lash on this. So I'm flicking my rig right past, probably to about 15 metres. My hook bait's probably landing like 16 metres plus. I think they might just sit off the back of your feed. So I'm just firing my maggots towards the end of my pole tip. And then my rig's just sitting off the back really. And I think that just helps you catch a few more fish, especially when it's hard. When it's solid, you just catch with a short line in your feed, but I just think for these eyes, it's so important to fish with a long line, especially when you catch them shallow. Keep your pole tip away from them when the water's clear. You know, you can see them dancing about when you bring them back. When they're still like 18 inch down, you can see them flashing, so you will be able to see your pole tip when they're up, down and about. Even more roach now. I just need to keep catching a few eyes, to be honest. It's better than I expected. But I think because we had a slow start, they probably just weren't feeding at all. There's a lot more of these as well. Like chunky sort of 3 ounce eyed. I don't know, they must have bred. I've never seen them before. There's definitely a few in the peg today. But they're nice to fill the gap. Gonna keep ticking on this really. Hopefully they keep coming, and as soon as the mide sort of disappear and I don't catch one for a while, I'll have a look at my ground bait line short, have a look at my ground bait long, just try and put some extra fish in the net while I refeed this, and then I can always drop back on it and hope to either catch another run of hide or just put some roach in the net. The key is on here, catch as many hide as you can and then just fill your net with like tiny silvers, and you usually catch the odd like chunky eyed in between them, sort of thing. If you just sit for big fish, it's a bit of a gamble really. So you've got to do your damage early in the match. There we go, there's another hide. You can tell when you hook them, they're like thud their head. It's lovely fishing with this soft elastic. Love it. There's nothing better than just whacking into an hide. Single force elastic. The only thing is you do have to ship back very slow, because they've got a bit of a knack for coming off. You just want to take your time. So you've pulled too hard, I think, because they twist and turn in the water, I think they sort of like, it's too much resistance for them, and the hook just pulls out. A small one, but they're still 5 ounces, and they're the biggest fish you're going to catch in here. I'm not complaining at all. I've got 27 of them now, brilliant. And I know I'm probably going to catch an odd one towards the end as well. So if I can get to like, maybe I can get to 50 yards, that'll be a brilliant, brilliant day. Last time I was on here, this peg, before, it's a brilliant peg. I think they do live around that island, that's why it took me so long to get a bite to start with. They just live right at the back of that bay that I'm in. And it takes a while to draw them in, and I think on them days you do need to fish with a catty to sort of draw them into your peg. And they're just gorge feeders. I think maybe in the past I've made the mistake of being a bit too negative and, you know, tapping bait in, and sometimes there's a place for it, definitely, but this has definitely given me a reminder. Be aggressive, feed plenty bait. It's freezing cold, it's like there's ice on the lakes this morning. On certain areas, a bit of cat ice, and there's still feeding shallow, so there isn't going to be many days really when you don't want to be feeding with a catapult, to be honest. Adam Richards is a perfect example. Fantastic angler, absolutely cleans up when he comes here, and all he does is takes a bucket full of maggots and just feeds with a catapult wherever he sits down, and he does fantastically. So that's good enough for me really, and it's proved it today. You'll see I'll never put my catapult down basically when it's like this. You just want to flick your rig in, reload your catapult, miss a bite, catch some maggots and flick it in again, and just repeat the process. So I'm gonna keep plugging away, hopefully. I'm getting plenty of bite. They might have to shallow up really. You've got to be mindful that then fish will come up and down in the water. So don't get complacent and just sit like 2 foot deep all day. You might need to go 4 inch deeper, 4 inch shallower, 2 inch shallower. And you know when you're at the right depth because you start getting bites, you stop missing as many bites. Yeah, there might be a few blips, so you have to bear that in mind. You might be missing bites from them little things, but I think a lot of them are probably them eye, they're just crafty, no indications, and fish feeding, but when you're at the right depth you don't really miss a bite as much. So when I come back I think I'm going to take a little bit of depth off, see how that goes. So I'll catch up with you in a bit, maybe another hour or so. Hopefully we've got above 27, which is what we're on now. Welcome back. We've only got about an hour left now I think, and to be honest I've had a brilliant day. I've got 43 hide now and about 30 roach, little hide, stuff like that. Probably got 20 odd pound, I'd imagine. Just need to catch another 4 or 5 pound to get to that 30 pound mark I think. I've gone to the end of my 16 metre section now. Just keep following them fish out. They always back off hide, they're funny fish for that. But I'm surprised I'm still getting bites from them, to be honest. Normally I'll be catching little roach and stuff by now. But yeah, been a great day. I proper enjoy this kind of style of fishing. Really busy, firing lots of bait in. I say lots, I probably only fed 2 pints of bait, but constantly feeding, just not massive amounts. So yeah, I'm fishing a full 16 now. I did have one look on my, about an hour ago, I had to rest this line because it went a bit iffy. So I dropped in on my skimmer line, short and long. There you go. Another ride I think. Short and long, and didn't get a single indication on, well, say that I did get a few bites, but they were all from tiny roach. So I just put another little bit more ground bait in long. I didn't put any more in short because I was still catching roach over it, so I feel like there's still some bait there. But long I didn't put much in to start with, so top that up with probably another 40-50 milligram bait and a few pinkies. And if this slows up last half an hour, I've got that to drop in on, maybe snare like an odd bonus. If I need to rest this, I can have a look. There's that gone. Can't see now, it's getting dark. But I've caught more small ones today, but still 5 ounces. It's actually hooked in the snout, that one. But yeah, so I've got 44 hide. A right mixture of sizes. I've had some over a pound. Yeah, I'm hoping they'll average like 8 ounces, so I'll have like 20 pound of hide, and then like probably 5 pound of bits. So that's 25 pound now. I just need, if I can get to like 50 hide, I'll be happy then. I think that'll probably give me a chance of catching 30 pound, but it just depends how it's fished all over really, whether you'll need 40 pound to win today, I'm not sure. Well, that's the end of the day. My hands are absolutely freezing now, I can't feel them. It's been warm to be fair, this last hour it's definitely cooled down, and you can tell the fishing just slowed up with it, to be honest. The first hour was the hardest, as expected, because it was freezing cold. When it's really cold on here, I have seen it before when it can be really hard to begin with, and then when they start feeding you can catch them for like the middle part of the match. But to be honest, it's been a great day. I've had 46 hide, I think I've had, and probably I don't know, 50 little bits and bobs. Probably about £30, I'm hoping. I don't know if that'll do me any good in the match or anything, but it's been a lovely day really. Just one line all day, sort of following them out. I ended up with 16 metres and my dolly butt in, so right as long as I can go out my peg to keep getting bites. Ended up being quite a lot of small-eyed, but a fantastic day to be honest. The best rig was this shallow rig here. Dun, dun, dun. So it's literally just a little 1.2mm bristle on a 4B8 Winter Maggie from RW. Lovely little floats. You need a really fine bristle for this style of fishing, I think. So you can, even if you don't dot it down, because obviously you can't see it sometimes, it's dead easy. There's no resistance for them, like they just pull it under dead easy. So you can always take a little trimmer off when it comes to the end of the match when it gets dark. And then I've literally got, what's that? One number 11 on the hook length loop, and then literally 2 strung out, and then that's it really. Dead simple. I've just moved my float up and down between like 2 foot and 18 inches, 2.5 foot, something like that. Just moved it about up and down during the day. Depends on sort of if I was getting any funny bites, or sometimes if you just slow up, just have a change of depth and it can make a big difference. Potted some ground bait in short, that was no good. I only spent 5-10 minutes on it because I was catching, so it was silly to come and sit on it really, when I could catch a few eyed late on, put another few pound in my net. And that's it really. So I'll get my gear packed away. Hopefully we win a bit of dollar, but we'll wait and see. Well, as you can see, it's pretty dark now. We're all weighed in and just about to get off to home. It's been a fantastic day at the Oaks. Absolutely love these matches here. I know it's just been a little blog, but hopefully you enjoyed it. So we've weighed in 34 pounds and 5 ounces, which will prove quite important because Ryan Bennett, absolutely fantastic angler. He's drew peg 38 on Alders, probably the second best peg on the lake. I'd say mine on paper is definitely the most consistent, but still a great peg, but fantastic angler. He's had 34.9, so 4 ounces he's done me by. He's won the match, and then I'm second in the match, so fantastic day. Won a few pennies, so a nice free day on the bank. Love these matches, you know, you get bites all day long. You catch sort of eyed and roach and little skimmers and stuff like that. Most chucks in. I've probably had about 100 fish today or something like that, so I've had bites all day long. Best line was that loose fed line with maggots. Probably fed about 2.5 pints, so nothing crazy, but just like regular loose feed. So never putting the catapult down is really important. Light rigs and just constantly flicking your rig in, especially when I was fishing shallow, which was most of the day to be honest. Like you say, when I say like a fishing shallow, you think, oh, it must have been solid then, but it wasn't crazy solid. It was just the fish wanted to be competing in the upper layers. And it was interesting, towards the end of the match, the fish started spewing up the maggots, and that's always a good telltale sign that there's not many fish left in your peg. At the start, they weren't sticking up any maggots, so that tells me there's quite a lot of eyed sort of feeding together because they're not getting full up. And then towards the end, as you sort of thin them out and they sort of back off a bit, them fish that are sat in your peg eating, they've got a mouthful. So, but yeah, all in all, fantastic day sport. Me and Ryan have been top 2, and then there's been some sections, but still fished well. Carl Hempstead, he's been on Willow's 8, sorry. He's had £30 as well, and there's been multiple £20 off every lake, so it's been fantastic fishing once again. Freezing cold. If you're in the north of England and you fancy a day's fishing on a Wednesday or a Saturday, that doesn't clash with the league. The league's on alternate Saturdays, but you can find out. Come down, fish the silverfish matches at the Oaks. They're fantastic. We've had 20 on today, so a good turnout. Usually it's a few more as well. So well worth a drive down. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Chuffed to pick up a few quid, and I'll see you on the next one. Let me know if you like this style of video. Give it a like if you do. Give it a comment, and I'll do a few more. And yeah, until next time, I'll see you on the bank.